friends, Scorpio, Astro Wake, Thomas Wake, here to go through our full moon in Aries, and our sun being in Libra, opposing it, which makes a full moon. So we're going to address the energies that be. Now, I don't usually do this, but since I have the cards in my hand, we have a card that popped out that wants to talk to us. This, my friends, is a 5. A 5 is a number of change. That's why you put out a pentagram for magic rituals. What do you do rituals? Usually to try to change things for the better. People don't do magic to keep things the same. Think about that. I just thought about that for the first time. So, for some reason, this brings me to the 5th house and the relationship between Leo and Scorpio. We came out of Leo season not too long ago. That lesson was to do things from our true, authentic heart place. In Libra season, for not doing those things from that true, authentic heart place, you'll get karmic dished to you to help you to wake up, to realize that you need to do it. Now, this could be easier for those who made that choice in Leo season, so you'll get affirmations, good signs that you're on the right path. And for those who are not, this could be a pressing season. Saturn, the Capricorn energy that is squaring off to this full moon in Aries, is depressing, is heavy, is restricting to what? To our relationships with others. Why? Because we're not in relationship with ourselves, right? We're not being authentic, true to ourselves. We can't come from that great I am Aries space if we're trying to please others too much, if we're just trying to fit in the crowd, if we're just trying to do what's hip and cool and be accepted without taking the chance to be our true person, to let our true personality, to stand in our truth. When you stand in your truth, you might get attacked for the moment being. But when you do it, and you do it from a place of love and sincerity and authenticity, you get rewarded for this. When you act instead of react, you create instead of being part of somebody else's creation. Now, change often entails hurt, discipline, loneliness, doubt. These are the lessons of the Saturnian energy with the disk that surrounds it, who creates disciples through discipline. And this discipline isn't to be done with, I was trying to find out something that rhymed with discipline. Discipline in, rin, tin, ring-a-ding-ding. It is, you don't learn a lesson. I'll give an astrological example. You could have a bunch of trines in your chart, which are just easy gifts. If you get an easy gift, it's not that meaningful. You're not going to be standing on the podium with tears in your eyes holding up the medal. But if you had to suffer through a tough upbringing and your path there was torturous, I hate to use the word torturous, challenging, then when you stand up there on that podium with that medal in your hand, you're going to be freaking crying, and it makes for a better story. I studied a little bit of creative writing in school. what makes for a good story is conflict and overcoming challenges and self-growth and character development. When you die, they say, you go through a self-reflection, which is why it's best to self-reflect as much as you can right now, which is what astrology and tarot does. Know thyself. You sit back and watch a movie of your life. Or you don't want to watch a movie of you sleeping in bed and doing the easy way out the whole time. We're here to create a badass movie. Well, a badass movie takes a hero to be courageous and to take a step into the unknown, the Fool card. To follow the white stag that is elusive, that brings us on mystical, ardent, arduous, I'm not sure if I'm using that word right, journeys. And through that journey, great kingdoms are found. And that white stag is perhaps never caught in this life. But you get a chance to put it on your coat of arms. Because that's that driving force that helps us to strive for perfection while still accepting our imperfections and those we find in others. So those that we see that are apparent in others right now in Libra season is a great mirror reflection into what we, in fact, need to work on in our life. So we have this square that's happening with Pluto. So here's a challenge to transform at this full moon. Here is going to be anger, deep-seated anger looking to come out. So there's the challenge. So how can we best use that energy is to sit with it and not react to it, but knowing this, act upon it, so that we're not a fool in this game, but we see the game for what it is. So when certain things come up, we're not going to be so surprised by it and shook, but we can sit back, observe it, and then act in a rational mind, not overcome by our emotions and not neglecting them, finding that Librarian balance to make the best possible decision in that moment, to have the best attitude about it. And as we do that, we'll find ourselves on the middle way, in the middle path. So we might have bouts of sadness, of depression, of looking back to the past, into the darkness. Well, it's only good that we look to the past to see what lesson we could learn from that, so that we could change it and how we act to that situation as we move forward. We could change how we feel about things by our mental attitude, which takes a little bit of discipline and effort. The feelings will follow, and then that's how we visualize and manifest as great magicians. And we have a lot of spiritual energy helping us in this. We have this making a trine, this moon making a trine to Jupiter and Sagittarius, which is going forward very healthily. We have it making a sextile to this Pluto, making change a little bit easier to do right now. We have Jupiter and Saturn, the king and the priest. We want to bring them together so that we're not the king who's out there trying to conquer every land possible and sleep with every foreign person we capture and not trying to gather all the wealth and riches and forgetting the kingdom. There's the unhealthy king. We're not going to be the unhealthy dark priest behind the scenes who's looking to manipulate things for his own personal gain and power. We're going to want to choose the archetype that is Saturn, the wise priest behind the scenes that is going to be diplomatic and wise in his dealings with the king, while still knowing that just because he's not the king doesn't make him any less powerful. Actually, he's more powerful than the king. But by not letting that get him up on a high horse and getting him into trouble and into the dark forces. And we're going to want to be the king who is best at service to his people to balance out his own ego. And if he doesn't, he's going to get stuff that hits him hard to bruise his ego to teach him. So what we want to do, we want to bring together the king who is also the priest who is also the king, who is humble, servant, handmaid of the universe. And by doing that, is at service to it and is a co-creator with it, and who has the best intentions of the community and himself at hand, in line with the universe. Not trying to manipulate it for his own personal gain, because ultimately he knows that that will hurt him. So being wise enough to know that, and then to work in the middle ground. Spend the time in prayer and the time in action. A contemplative, active priest, king, queen, priestess, whatever. And this might have to be, you're going to have to leave some cups behind. You're going to have to leave some recipes behind that were stealing your energy. They serve their purpose for a while, and they perhaps no longer are. And if we don't, we'll have a tower thing that will shake us. So let us give ourselves the tower falling down experience so that the universe doesn't have to do it. And here's our Leo Strength Energy card. Taming the lion and having to do it without hurting the lion. How do we tame our ego without hurting it? And it's by quelling the animalistic natures that are self-serving, that are only living for the now, by showing perseverance and fortitude and strength, and by not being an over-perfectionist at the same time, finding that middle ground. To not be the aesthetic who's going around flagellating themselves in the streets, because that's ultimately a sign of pride. Isn't that ironic? Don't you think? It's a little too ironic. Yeah, I really do think it's like rain. Because none of those things are ironic. Here's our Page of Swords. In Libra season, he's meditative, but he has his sword raised. He's active. He's trusting in the universe. Therefore, he has a flying freaking bull behind him. That's the universe fighting for us behind the scenes when we are mentally and heart-centered, authentic, aligned, and striving to be the best version of ourselves that we can be. It's that striving that will keep us thriving. Now let's go to the Oracle deck for one final card to send us out. I understand that a mistake is only an opportunity to learn. Failure is an opportunity to learn. I understand that a mistake is an opportunity to learn. So it's not even a mistake, and it's not a failure. It was simply an opportunity to learn. Because of perseverance, that I know that whatever I set my mind to, I can accomplish. That's how strong we are as co-creators.